Welcome to Bold Moves. I am here with my friends Mike Griggs and Kristen Hogue. We are excited about the opportunity to be bold together. This week we're talking about the idea of how we can boldly serve and why that matters. Because the real deal in all this is that when you make a bold move, it puts you in position for you to live into the purpose and the plan that God created you for. And that's what we want everybody to experience. That's why we're doing what we're doing here. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna laugh together, but this is meaningful. We don't want to miss out on a single thing that God has for us. Yep. And so when we talk about serving, what I like about that is it defines the priorities in our life. Like, we are all going to give our first and our best to something. And we have to establish those priorities in life. Like, what is going to be important to us? Where am I going to spend my time? And I think that when we're willing to serve, use the gifts and abilities that God has given us for Him, it makes a difference. It sets a pattern and a priority in our life. So I'm curious. I want to hear everybody's story, because serving has played a key role in my life of helping me live into the purpose and plan that God had for me. I'm curious for you guys, where did that start? Kristen, what's the first opportunity you had to serve? What does that look like?
Well, hold on. You said first and best.
First and best. Ooh. Yes.
Oh, because what if my best didn't come first?
That's a fair question.
That is actually a very good
Great question.
Very good question.
Yeah, let's clarify that. When we talk about giving God our first and our best, I think that's actually a biblical principle that we don't talk about very often. When we talk about giving God our first and our best, I think it indicates not giving God our leftovers. It's like, I want to give God my first and my best. It's not what's left over at the end of the day, what's left that nobody else wanted. That's what I'll give. Bring in all of our junk for Jesus, as they say at the church garage sales.
Yes. One time I told the students pastor, this was years ago, I was like, I just really want to be more involved. And so I went to one night of students and I never went back. Because it was not junk for Jesus.
That night was junk for Jesus.
That was not your best, but that was your first. Okay.
No, it wasn't my first, but I was just, it was one of those moments where I was like, I've got to do, like, no. I need to stick with my best.
I made a huge mistake.
Yes.
Yep.
But my first was actually went several years back when we were doing Upward.
Oh, yeah. Upward Sports.
And I believe I was reffing, which was definitely not my
that's
best.
awesome. Was that soccer?
Yes, soccer.
Is that at the soccer games where all the kids like hover around like butterflies around?
Yeah, so I guess I actually was probably.
How do you even ref that? How do you even ref something
Well,
like that?
I mean,
you call offsides?
Do
you call offsides? Like, what do you even do? I mean, that seems
to be clear. I'm not even sure what offsides is.
Does anyone really know what offsides is in soccer?
Nobody does.
I play soccer, so
she
yes, I know. I know what it is. But anyway,
you're the professional here.
At that time, the worship leader walked up to me at the very end and he said, "Hey, I heard you sing."
Like. We were singing on the field?
No, I wasn't singing on the field.
Yeah, because weren't you supposed to be reffing? I'm a little confused here. It's very good at multitasking.
See, this is already not going well.
This is terrible. This is great. I love it.
Anyway, he was like, you need to come audition. And I really didn't want to, but I knew it was important and I knew that I had that gift. So, I'm like really good at that. So... Just kidding.
Singing and reffing are her two gifts in calling offsides.
That is fantastic. So actually serving at Upward actually led to other opportunities to serve and lean into other gifts and abilities that you have.
Better serving opportunities. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So you put yourself out there and God opened the doors for other ways for you to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Mike, what's that look like for you?
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking about this, that there was a huge impact on my life. And I'm picturing this moment. I was actually a freshman in high school. I was at Napanee Missionary. And mine's actually a little different. I'm going to kind of twist and turn this a little bit, but I was actually watching someone serve. I remember this vivid moment of watching this guy serve, and he had led worship, and then he was coming down. He was leading this freshman group of freshman guys, small group, and I'm sitting there watching him, and I'm learning from him and recognizing, holy cow, because this guy is serving, he is making a giant impact in my life. I remember just sitting there feeling that, holy cow, like, God is doing something right now in this group of freshman guys, in my heart as well, because this guy chose to serve. He's willing to lead it. He's willing to lead it. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, like, that's what I want to do. Yeah. And that's actually what began for me, the leading the steps into wanting to be in ministry. Because I thought, I want to do what this guy's doing for me, for somebody else. Really powerful, just because he stepped into this role and started leading this probably annoying group of guys.
I was going to say, did he like you?
I don't think he probably liked any of us as I look back. I mean, it was,
it's a fair question.
It's a very fair question. So he was serving probably just because because he loved the Lord, but didn't really like us, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but no, it was just
hilarious.
cool to see him step into that and just make the impact that he had on all this group of guys. And that really changed the course of like my journey, as well as I know some of the other guys as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. For me, what's hilarious is like serving for me is what allowed me to pursue my calling. Like that's what turned the light on for me. Like, oh, I need to be doing this all the time. But I was I was technically forced into doing it at the beginning. I went to a Christian school that required everyone who attended there to have a Christian service during the week. So we volunteered and helped kids, like a kids ministry that was out in the park, I don't know, what kind of a community was this? I have no idea how to describe it. There was kids everywhere, and I didn't know how to describe what was happening. And it was in that moment that I realized I really don't like kids.
Yeah, exactly. Quickly realized that in that setting.
This park is filled with kids. They're all over the place. I just have this distinct memory of my roommate who had a kid on his shoulders, and that kid just suddenly started peeing his pants, and it was going down my roommate's shirt. It was a terrible moment. I'm going, this is the worst. Who wants to serve? Like, it's hilarious. That was my first moment. It wasn't a great moment. Somewhat like Kristen's first experience.
Yes.
Like,
pee pants will turn you away.
Pee pants
will get you really fast.
Dampens the mood. Yeah, it's not good. It's not great.
Dampens the mood really fast.
See what I did there? Yes. But honestly, like that let's call it that habit, that routine of serving regularly, it got me in the habit, and I realized, this is actually the most fulfilling thing. I started working with teenagers in a youth group, and it was fulfilling. And I realized, this is actually amazing. When you serve, you put yourself out there, and you get to be a part of the story. God uses you, which is pretty amazing. Like it's an amazing thing. And so when we talk about like how do I serve, how am I putting myself in position for God to use the gifts and abilities that He created me for? I think that's an important question where I want everybody to be engaging, because I think that's how we all live life to the fullest. If we talk about being stuck on the sidelines, if you're not willing to engage, step out of your comfort zone and say, all right, these are my gifts and abilities, I'm gonna go for it, you're gonna miss out on what God has for you. I believe that He created each of us with specific gifts and abilities to do things that He prepared in advance for us to do. I believe that because that's actually a Bible verse.
Absolutely.
It's in the Bible. So there it is. Fight me. Yeah. It's in the Bible.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, what we prioritize in our life matters.
Yep.
And at Crossroads, we've been talking about the story of Abraham and Lot, and how about where they pitched their tents and where that and why that matters. Because where you pitch your tent shows what your priorities are. And that reminded me of a clip that I saw on YouTube years ago. Can we just have a moment that may be inappropriate, but also will be incredibly funny? I feel terrible for this guy, but if you know what I'm talking about, this is like from 17 years. It's one of the first videos
way back
I ever saw on YouTube. This is a guy who lives out like the worst nightmare of every pastor or public speaker. I will say nothing else. Let's just watch this video clip together. Check this guy out. This is from 17 years ago. He's preaching.
Last week, we were talking about Lot.
Same story.
We were talking about Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yep.
And we were talking about how Lot chose to go pinch his tits.
No, that's actually not what we were talking about.
That's not what happened at all, brother.
Pinch his tits. Pinch his tits.
He is in so much trouble right now.
And you heard
terrified.
Nothing else here. This is church. My God. So he was pitching his tents.
There's no coming back from this. Just stop.
And so what happened was,
just let it go.
When he did that, he was getting too close to evil.
This
and
is
what I
the
was
biggest
challenging you
nightmare.
guys to not do was to pick
This is where it hits him. Watch this. This is so good.
Then stop flopping.
Yeah, there's no coming back.
Man.
Just end the service.
Am I red right now?
Yes, you are.
Holy cow.
This is the best right here.
Allie, I hope this isn't on videotape.
Absolutely is.
Little did he know.
He was like the pioneer of the viral video. Like, yes.
I mean, honestly, because you get to a certain level on YouTube and they pay you a lot of money, that might have been the biggest mistake he's ever made. And so maybe actually it's worth it. I mean, he might be a multimillionaire right now. I hope for his, bless his heart, I hope he is.
It might be, but poor Lot got dragged into that.
Lot did not need to be involved in that. Come on, it's just...
I never thought about. Thank you, Kristen, for pointing that out. Yeah, poor Lot. That's a completely different picture of him now. It's kind of weird.
Oh, that's disappointing. That's disappointing for Lot.
So now we've gone completely off the rails. Like the whole point is like the story of Lot and Abraham, their stories went two completely different ways because Lot pitched his tent, saying that very carefully, near Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham pitched his tent in the Promised Land where God was leading him. And it took their lives two completely different paths and journeys. God clearly created for Abraham for him to follow the path that he created. And Lot got himself into trouble by pitching his tent in the wrong place. And so where you pitch your tent, it establishes your priorities. And what your priorities in life are, they matter. It matters. So the question that we ask when it comes to being bold, like, how am I going to serve? How will I boldly serve using the gifts and abilities that I've been given? I think it matters. Like, it's a matter of priority, it's a matter of intentionality, and it's a matter of purpose. Like, what direction is my life going to go? And so I think we kind of glaze over these questions sometimes, but man, these are like pivotal and critical moments in our lives that make a huge difference. So keeping that in mind, I think now is a great time to bring in our friend from Florida. We got to talk to Remington.
Yes.
It's time for 5 good minutes with Remington Anksorus. Let's give it up for Remington. Here we go. All right, and now we have 5 good minutes with our friend from St. Pete, Florida, who leads the campus there. Let's give it up for Remington Anksorus and welcome him to Bold Moves.
How's it going, everybody?
Remington, did you just flash us a peace sign? Is that what you just did? Is that your welcome?
Yeah, maybe a little shaka, something.
Is that what they do in Florida?
That's what they're doing. All the cool kids. Yeah.
When you're happy, you flash the peace sign. They're living in good weather down there. They're
life is good. Life is good. You got good color, Rem. It looks like you got a good tan going on.
I was about to say that. I mean, we got a lot of things, especially like, skin tone, like tanner. We're much tanner here, unlike y'all pasties who are up in the Midwest someplace.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you. I feel like we're off to a great start here. This is fantastic. Remington, talk to us. We're talking about bold moves. We're talking about having the right priorities in life and how serving really is a great indicator of what's important to you. And we're all going to give our first and our best to something. We've been sharing stories about how it kind of started for us, serving and giving God our best. What's that look like for you, man? What's a memory you have of serving where it kind of led to something bigger in your relationship with God?
Yeah, I mean, it's I love what you said there about your first and your best. I was 20, probably 22 years old, 23, 24 years old, somewhere in that range.
That's a big range, Remington. That's like a 3-year range. Yeah. Come on, get better than that.
It's an age range, right?
It's okay, early 20s.
This moment in my life.
Yep.
It was this moment in my life, right, where I built, went to college, after going through school, as a kid. But I lacked purpose. And it was really funny. It all kind of started. I volunteered. Actually, I didn't volunteer at all. I was just at this big Easter extravaganza our church puts on. And it was a disaster parking wise. Literally, there was a line out, down the street around on this major highway right out. And the head pastor at that time came up and he said, "Remington, come with me. I need your help." And we literally, the lead pastor of a church of like 15, 16, 1,700 people. I know that's a big range, but 15, 16, 1,700 people. We parked literally every car. We got them in as fast as we can. And we parked and parked and parked. It's funny. At that time, I didn't work for that church, but I ended up working for it. And he said, in that moment, I knew one day you were going to work at our church.
That is awesome.
It's funny because my ministry, I do ministry as a vocation now. My ministry would never have happened if it wasn't me being willing to just kind of lean in and give my first and best when it was needed.
Yeah.
I didn't actually want to be a pastor. I actually didn't as a kid, maybe had a call and I was just like, not happening. They don't get paid enough. People treat pastors terribly because that's what I saw, right? So I was like, I'm not going into that at all. But when I found purpose, just by kind of stepping out and parking a car.
I mean, that's wild, but it's true. It sounds ridiculous, but it's so true. It matters.
So ridiculous.
It matters.
Absolutely.
You know what else is ridiculous? How do so many people come out for an event that gets like 6 pieces of free candy for their kid? Have you ever wondered that? How do so many people come out for those events? And how do kids pick up that many eggs in that short amount of time? My kids, they won't clean their room. It takes them 3 hours to clean their room. I don't know how that works.
Can't clean the room, but can get a bunch of candy and stuff. The most literally efficient kids are at these events.
Yes.
But they can't clean the room. It makes zero sense.
It's a complete disconnect from real life.
Most efficient.
Yeah, I mean, the level of efficiency that takes place among
we
those
only
kids
invite the most efficient kids in our community to join us at our Easter extravaganza.
If you can't get 10 eggs within the first 30 seconds, you're not that efficient.
Must be able to clean your room well as a prerequisite to coming out to our Easter extravaganza.
Then you can show up. Yes, that makes sense. That is the prerequisite.
Good. I think we all are in agreement here.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Hey, Remington, that is great insight and a great point. I love that serving played a role in your call to ministry. How do you see that playing out now that you lead the charge down in St. Pete at our campus there? Why is serving so important there? What's a big, teaching point that you champion there?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's critical. Because at the end of the day, a pastor is only one person. And so I came to Florida by myself. Yep. Nobody was with me. And so getting folks who can step into ministry themselves and really, it's really cool as a pastor to watch that kind of like flourish in people's lives, because they too, in that moment, they find purpose.
Yes.
And so that is an awesome thing. I got a great example. I've got a guy who, he kind of sat on the sidelines. He's listened to you talk, Tim, for about, a year and a half, 2 years. And finally he just said,
he's still around. That's fantastic.
That is.
I'm so excited to hear that. Hey, Wade stuck around.
Awake and looking.
Tip of the cap to that man.
So, but he literally had basically said, I have to get off the sidelines. I have to make a bold move.
Yes.
And so he's like, I'm starting a Bible study for my friends because they don't know Jesus.
I love it.
And he's like, I don't do it, nobody else is going to. He's like, I don't know if they'll ever step into this room, but he's like, hey, if I can get him to a Bible study, maybe we can get him on a Sunday morning. Maybe we can, invite him into our community. And so that's very, very cool. So we did that, right? And after he did that, he was like, Monday nights, because he did this on a Monday night, Monday nights, they're going to be my ministry night. And so he's like, can we start a basketball, league at one of the local rec centers? Would you rent it out? I was like, absolutely. Started off with 6 people.
That's awesome.
Started off with, then went to 5 people, because the first night, of course, 10 minutes in, I just ripped my Achilles. So that put me down.
So were you the sub?
Always be sure to stretch. Make sure you take collagen. That is not, what's the word I'm looking for? That has not been cleared through the FDA. So take collagen at your own risk. Buyer beware. But
I thought that was for you put that to get your wrinkles to go away. Isn't that what collagen is?
Apparently, it gives you great skin. Look, do you see this?
I do. We all see it. We all see it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I am not recommending anyone take collagen. Please consult with your physician. But 6 people, then 5 people, of course. The third month we did it, 17 people were out there playing basketball.
That's his ministry. He's doing it.
Part about it was, what was that?
That's his ministry. He did that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he did that all on his own. That's exactly right. And the cool part about it was he gathered everybody around at the end and we just said a prayer. It wasn't anything crazy. We just were like, hey, you guys care if we pray for you? And they were like, absolutely. And so we prayed over those guys' lives and we sent them on their way. But it was a meaningful moment at the end of just some guys playing basketball, because one guy said, I don't want to sit on the sidelines. I want to make a bold move with my life. And so, I mean, that's what happens, right? Yeah. The value of it is he's going to connect with those people and his friends more than I could ever connect with them. And so as a pastor or somebody who's given their life to ministry and trying to, speak into people's lives, when you see that next person do it, it just takes it and puts it on steroids.
Also not recommended.
You take steroids.
Also not recommended.
Collagen, steroids. Is there anything else you're on, Remington?
While we're at it, is there anything you shouldn't take? I just would like to know.
And just because it's been legalized doesn't mean you should take it either, whatever that is, Remington.
That's exactly right.
That'll preach.
That's so good. Remington, thank you. That's great stuff. You have helped us make a bold move together. Guys, I have to say, this was 5 good minutes. Five good minutes well spent with our friend Remington. Remington, thank you. You're the man. Go work on your tan. We'll see you soon.
Great to be with you.
Peace. Oh my God.
Well, it's always good talking with Remington. He is, there's never a dull moment with that guy. I have to say, I know he injured himself, but I've been present on a basketball court when I saw him with his elbow accidentally knock out a guy's tooth.
Are you serious?
Oh my God.
He's a beast. And it was not Remington's fault. Honestly, The guy had it coming.
Well, I'm not gonna play basketball with Remington ever. Like
I wouldn't
it's not
recommend
happening. Nope. In fact, Remington, you're gonna see this. No basketball with you at all.
Basketball moratorium with Remington Anksorus.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Not playing.
I love Rem. That was a great talk. Hey, so here's what we're realizing. In every one of our experiences and the journeys that we have and our stories, serving has made a difference. It's elevated our relationship with God. It's allowed us to experience Him moving in us and through us. And we get to be a part of other people's stories because we put ourselves out there. Any other thoughts that you have to go along with it? The importance of serving.
I mean, with serving, you're serving God. You're using your gift, your ability. But really, there's a lot of community that comes with that.
Yes.
Some of my closest friends that I walk through life with, it's all people that I serve with.
Yes. And that's what we were created for. We experience that community the most when we're engaging in the mission together. That's the deepest friendships. That's a great point. I love that. Mike, we're about to launch this huge community center at Crossroads. What are your thoughts on that? Because there's opportunities there like crazy.
I mean, there's going to be so many opportunities, and it's like, once we start getting down to all the details of figuring out what we're gonna need, it really is going to take. I mean, you hear this all the time, but it really is going to take a village to make this thing work.
Yeah.
I mean,
an army of volunteers.
Yes.
Well, the whole community is completely behind it, ready to go.
That's exactly right. When you see the whole community excited about something. What a unique opportunity to make an impact. Like we talk about making an impact in our world, but it really does starts in our communities. And it's like this right here is opening. It's going to be an opportunity for the community to belong and to be a part of something. And to be able to jump in and serve in the different roles we're going to have it's going to be something really special.
Yeah. And it's going to make a huge difference.
It is. It's going to make a massive difference in the lives of families and the lives of kids and the individuals that show up. And so there's going to be a ton of opportunities to serve. And it's like you said, you build community when you're serving and you get to play a part of something that's bigger than yourself. Yeah. And that's exactly what this is going to be.
Everybody wins.
Yep.
I think it's good to note that like wherever you are, you might be in the Elkhart, Goshen area and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
But wherever you are, however you serve, it's only going to elevate your relationship with God and others and allow you to lean into and to live into that purpose that He created you for. I mean, everybody wins when we put ourselves out there and use the gifts and abilities that God has given us. And so I think just to wrap this up, it's about establishing our priorities where we're all going to give our first and our best to something. I would just challenge everybody who's joining us today, give your first and your best to God. Let Him use the gifts and abilities that He created you with for the purpose that He created you for. That's where life is lived to the fullest. So that's the challenge today. When it's time to make your move, be bold. We'll see you next time.